over Boyle and I'm quitting alcohol. So, a little bit of good news today for Le Boyle, a little bit of bad news for the rest of Australia. So, today the government announced that they're going to change the indexation of all student debt. So, basically, what that means is at the moment, every year, your student debt goes up by CPI, inflation, consumer price index. And last year, that meant 7.1%. Your fucking debt went up 7.1%. My debt went up 7.1%. Last time I looked at it in the middle of COVID, it was about $42,000. That was about 3 or 4 years ago, so it must be something like $50,000 now, especially with that 7.1%. I just find it fucking amazing that the government, who causes all the inflation by printing money, they can spend psychotically and irresponsibly, and then they just pass that irresponsibility onto you, the person with the student debt. But I had worked out that even if they charge me 7.1% per year, which they won't, because the government has to pretend inflation's low. That's the main thing they have to do, pretend inflation's low. But even if they did charge me 7.1% a year, real inflation is about 10 to 12% a year. So even if I don't pay it back, eventually it all gets eaten up in inflation anyway. It's just that the hard thing is watching those numbers go up and then you feel trapped. But you need to know what the process is. The government's never going to stop printing money, so inflation is never going to stop. So the numbers, even though they go up and as absurd as they seem now, they're going to get more absurd. They're going to break. Everything's going to break eventually. You just need to wait. But anyway, the government announced today that they're no longer going to put up student debt according to inflation, CPI. They are going to put it up according to WPI, which is wage inflation, which is between 2 and 4% a year, which is nothing, absolutely nothing. And the even better news is that the government is retroactively applying it. So last year's 7.1% gets reverted back to 3.4%, I think it was. So I get like $2,500 taken off my debt. And then for the rest of the length of the debt, which I've never paid back, it's going to be like 2 to 4%. Because wages are never going to increase as much as inflation. So it just means it's going to take less time for that debt to inflate away. Inflate away, baby. That's why you should never pay off your student debt. Not only that, eventually they'll just forfeit it. They'll just fucking, what do they call it when they just say you don't have to pay it back again? They did it in the US. It has like a royal sounding name. I forget what it is. Debt Jubilee? Is it something like that? Jubilee the debt? I don't know. Anyway, that's good news for me, but it is not good news for the Australian people because that announcement they made is going to cost $3 billion. $3 billion fucking dollars, which, as you know, will cause inflation, which itself will make the debt I need to pay back even cheaper, and we can just start the loop again. This is how backwards everything is at the moment. Debt is actually good, especially if you can pay 0% interest or anything under like 4, anything under 4 or 5, it's basically free money. As long as you can afford the repayments, it's better to have debt than savings. That's how crazy shit is now. If you have savings, you know what I'm going to say, but the safest thing you can do is put it in a bank which isn't the safest thing to do. That's literally the worst thing you can possibly do with your money, is let it sit in a bank. But, you know, if you're like a normal economist, you would say safest thing to do is put it in a bank in a term deposit that gets you like 4.5% a year. So you're getting 4.5% while real inflation is anywhere between 7 and 12. So just leaving it in there, you're losing money. But if you have debt, especially long-term debt at a very low interest rate, if you've got debt at like 3%, if you can make the repayments without fucking yourself up, then over the long period of time, the debt just washes away. It becomes nothing because inflation is so much higher than the interest rate that you're going to be paying. Let's say the interest rate you're paying back is like 4%. Inflation's at 8%. That means the debt is losing 4% a year. So after 15 years or something like that, over half your debt has been paid back due to inflation. As long as you can cover the repayments, debt is better than having cash. Wild stuff. It's so fucking crazy. This government is spending like fucking crazy. They just announced $1 billion for domestic violence or some shit like that. A fucking war against the lads, that's what it is. What? I don't know what the fuck $1 billion is going to do for domestic violence, but you fucking take it and speed up the process of the decline of this fucking system. Anyway, that'll just about fucking do it for today. Yes, it will. That'll do, and I'll see ya the fuck later.